Right, hiya. I tried to film this video last week. It's been a very, very long time coming, but I sort of was under a lot of stress and like there was a lot happening last week. My bike that I've had for just over a year now, I was riding it back from the shops and it just exploded. Like the engine just went kaput. So I've had to, that bike's fucked now basically, and I've had to get a new one, and it's just, you know, yet more money, and it's just so expensive, and it means, you know, having to think about my traveling plans and, you know, having to stick at work for a bit longer because, yeah, it's, you know, it's just so much money in such a short amount of time, and it's so sudden as well. So I'm sorry for the lack of uploads, but just been trying to figure that out as well as, you know, work at the same time. So it's all been a bit of a stressful period. So I've sort of put off uploading for a little bit. But anyway, moving on. So in this video, I'm actually going to speak about clubbing and dating in Iceland. Obviously, I can't really generalise it. I can't say any objective truth in this because I was only there for a week. But I had a lot of experiences through that you don't really get in a week elsewhere, really. And it definitely, you know, it was interesting and I loved it. You know, I'm really thankful for the experience. And yeah, I've got some interesting stories to tell. So it all started when I arrived in Iceland, basically. So I got off the flight and then I had to get onto this bus that took an hour to get from the airport to the city centre, to the capital, Reykjavik, where my hostel was and where I was staying for the next 7 days. So on that bus ride, I got a notification from Tinder saying, you know, you can swipe right or something, or come find your match now, or something, you know, like sort of just an advert to go on the app, basically. I bit and I went on the app because I was just like, I wonder what Tinder's like in Reykjavik. And I mean, I hadn't even been in the country for an hour at this point, but I was quite intrigued and see what girls were like there. And instantly I got like a lot of, on that coach journey alone, I got like 10 or so matches just in an hour. And keep in mind, I've only been in the country for like an hour or half an hour. And I don't know how, but I got a lot of matches. And it was like, in my time in Reykjavik as a whole, like before I left, I like got 50, well, in Reykjavik, I got 50 more matches than I had before. And that was just in a week in Iceland. It was absolutely crazy. Anyway, so I'm definitely moving out there. No, I'm joking. But took me by surprise anyway. And the girls are like, for the most part, like insanely attractive as well. It's just, they're like too attractive. It's weird. But I'm not complaining. But anyway, so one of the matches that I matched with, funnily enough. So one of the girls that I matched with basically messaged me and was just like, hey, you know, how are you finding Iceland, sort of thing. I'm like, oh, I've actually only just got into the country. I've just arrived today. I'm going on a Northern Lights tour today. She goes, oh, that's a shame. You know, it would have been cool if we met up. And I'm just like, would it? I don't even know you. Like, this is really sudden. Like, you've only messaged me like 2 or 3 times. And she goes, I'm just saying, I'm free from 6 PM tonight if you wanted to do something. I was just like, okay, yeah, that would be quite nice. But I've got a Northern Lights tour. The tour was actually cancelled because it was too cloudy. Didn't get to see the Northern Lights the whole time I was there, sadly. So it was cancelled because it was cloudy. So I was just messaged her, just like, I'm actually free now if you want to meet up. She goes like, cool, I'll come round to yours. And I was just like, how has this happened? Like, how are people this spontaneous here? Like, this would never happen in England. Like, I think I've been on Tinder for what? You know, like on and off for like 6 or 7 years, and I think I've only been on like 3 or 4 dates, and I've been in Iceland for a day, not even a day, and I've already got a Tinder date like in like a few hours. So I was just like really surprised by it. So we met up, and yeah, I spent the whole evening with her. All I'm going to say is, and obviously everyone that watches my videos knows that I'm asexual, is I saw her that once and I didn't see her again. So you can take what you want from that. But basically, you know, she wanted to meet up for something. And obviously I wasn't willing to give her that something because of how I am. So she was very forward in that aspect. And it was, again, an experience. But sort of, I declined sex with her. And she sort of got, well, she didn't get angry, but she was like upset. So she was just crying. And she told the story about how she was engaged for 6 years before Christmas. And, well, not engaged for 6 years, sorry. She was together with this guy for 6 years and they were engaged to get married in 2019. But they broke up just before Christmas. And so since then, like, she's been basically, you know, sleeping with guys, and it was just crazy, you know. It was, and so we were just talking for 2 hours, and just in her car, and she was just really thankful. She was just like, we never open up like this, you know. I never open up like this. You're a really good listener. I'm just like, oh well, thank you. You know, I think I'm a good listener too, but it just doesn't happen there. They don't talk openly about that sort of stuff. It's just sort of, you know, I heard from people there that it's normal for people to like sleep with somebody and not even know their name, and then just fuck off and just go away, you know, or like, it's quite normal, and it happens quite often there. It's just, it's interesting, you know, to learn about different cultures like that. Which brings me on to my night out in Reykjavik in Iceland. And I went out on a Friday night. It was decent. Like, the nightlife was pretty sweet. Don't buy drinks on a night out. Drink beforehand. The drinks were ludicrous. To put it into perspective, it was 2,000 Icelandic kroners for a single rum and coke, which is about £12.50 for those that don't know. And you can get a single, like, I went out last night in Plymouth and I got a single rum and coke. Well, I got a double rum and coke for less than £3. So, you know, they're crazy prices. So we only got 2 drinks the whole night because we're not paying that. It was crazy. So on the night out, I actually went out with this Brazilian guy that I met in my hostel, and I spent quite a lot of the 7 days with him. He was such a nice guy. He was actually LGBTQ himself, you know, he was actually gay. So, and he had a lot of stories to share. He opened up a lot, and in Brazil, he was speaking about like how his culture perceived him being homosexual, and how he grew up being that way, and just there was so much stigma attached towards him. He felt so marginalized from the rest, and it was really gutting to hear. Like, even his parents just thought of him differently, and he lost so many friends and stuff like that. And it's really gutting to hear stories like that. And you forget that so many other cultures are still, you know, marginalize those who are homosexual and whatnot. We're not as accepting as like the UK or the US are now. You know, it's still progress needed in a lot of other parts of the world. So anyway, it was nice to meet him, learn his stories and stuff like that. So I went on the night out with him, and holy moly, like, the girls are forward as hell. Like, it's just as common there for girls to ask guys if they want to drink than it is for guys to ask girls if they want to drink. That never happens here in the UK. It just doesn't. Like, I don't think I've ever been asked by a girl if I want a drink. Ever. It's well, in this country anyway. And I mean, throughout the whole of the night, like, I had just random girls come up to me and freaking grind on me, and it just never happens. It's so, and like, the Brazilian guy also had, I mean, keep in mind he's gay as well, and he's just got these girls like here, and he's just like, Alex, what's happening? And he's just like, why can't guys do this to me? It was brilliant. It was a real laugh. You know, you learned a lot from it, but it was just so different, and it was just, the culture just there is just so different. And obviously, if I wasn't asexual, I mean, I could have scored easily. Like, it was interesting, and I think I would definitely move there if I was into that sort of stuff. But it was fun anyway, you know. I like that sort of experience, and like I say, you definitely learn a lot. So thank you for watching this video. As I say, you know, it's just really interesting to see what other cultures are like towards that sort of thing. But then going to countries like that, you don't just learn, because I stayed in a hostel, you don't just learn about the Icelandic culture, but you also learn about, you know, like I learned about the Brazilian guy's culture. I learned about where he's from, how, you know, being part of a minority sexuality there affected him and how they perceive it. You learn, you know, I lived with these Polish guy, the Polish mum and her son for a week as well. They stayed in the hostel. A girl from Mexico, these two guys, this guy and the girl who I think were siblings, from China, all over the world. And we got a photo together as well, and that's on my Instagram, I think. Follow me there, Alex Cook 27. And it's, you know, the people that you meet that you just never think, it's so sudden, you know, because that's literally just a week of my life, but so much happened, and I met so many people from so many different parts of the world. So, you know, when you go to a place like that, if you stay in a hostel, you don't just learn about the culture that you're visiting, but you learn about a lot of other people's cultures too. And they're actually interested about yours as well. I mean, going there as an English person, I feel like I'm such a huge majority, because so many people visit there from England. It's just, everybody speaks English there. I mean, no, there was never a time where there was, you know, I spoke English and people were like, sorry, I don't understand, you know. Everybody spoke English and it's just fluent. Your girl I went on a date with just spoke fluent English, you know, even though she's Icelandic, it's just common there. I met a subscriber out there, and he studies Icelandic in Iceland, even though he's Canadian, and they offered him a scholarship to do so because the language is sort of dying out and sort of like English is taking over. So to keep the language going, you know, he was offered a scholarship and paid to study there, which is fantastic. And I mean, it meant that I could meet him there as well, it was great to meet him as well. So all of these things that happened in a week, it was a crazy, crazy experience, and I'll definitely do more videos on this, but it'll get too long if I keep them all in this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you very soon.